Hello guys, in this video we'll discuss about intermittent fasting. So recently many people are talking about intermittent fasting. So I thought, why don't I make a video on intermittent fasting? And many medicos and are not aware of what is actually intermittent fasting, and what are the methods of intermittent fasting, and who should do the intermittent fasting and who should not do the intermittent fasting, and what are the risks of doing intermittent fasting, and what are the benefits of intermittent fasting. So in this video we'll just discuss about the types of intermittent fasting, and what are the benefits of doing these intermittent fasting, and what are the other risks, and who should not do intermittent fasting. So first we'll start with the definition. So intermittent fasting is just an eating pattern that alternates, means alternate period of eating and fasting. Alternate periods of eating and fasting is called as intermittent fasting. It's not continuously fasting. It's not like you're restricting your diet for continuously. It's like eating and fasting. Alternating of eating and fasting is called intermittent fasting. So actually this intermittent fasting mainly focuses on, it's usually and mostly focuses on when you eat rather than what you eat. Traditional methods of dietary precautions mainly includes what you eat. Now this modern method of intermittent fasting usually focuses on when you eat, means the timing when you start eating, the timing of when you eat is more focused in intermittent fasting rather than what you eat. So during the fasting periods, so during the time of fasting, means after eating you will be doing some period of fasting. So in this fasting you either consume no calories or try to limit your calorie intake very significantly. So the main goal of this intermittent fasting is to use your stored energy, that is mainly to burn out your fat and try to optimize your metabolic process. So in this intermittent fasting is mainly focused on first one, what you it's mainly focused on not what you eat, it's mainly focused on when you eat. And it also during the fasting periods, so mainly you're trying to burn out your stored energy, that is your fat. You in this intermittent fasting you're mainly focused to reduce your fat and trying to optimize your metabolic process. So coming to the types of intermittent fasting, as a as I already discussed about the definition of the intermittent fasting, now we will dive into the types. There are different types of doing intermittent fasting. There is no not only one conventional method, but there are different methods. You could opt for any method which you are interested in. So the first method is 16 and 8 method. What is 16/8 method? 16 means it's just here the 16 actually denotes the 16 hours, and 8 denotes the 8 hours of our totally we have 24 hours. So in this we are dividing 16 hours and 8 hours. So we have to fast for 16 hours and usually eat within the 8 hours window period. So as I've already discussed in the definition itself about intermittent fasting, it's mainly focused on when you eat rather than what you eat. So you're doing fasting for the 16 hours of your day and eating for the within the 8 hours of your window time. So normally this could be like from afternoon 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. That is this usually covers the 8-hour window period. So usually the people try to eat in this window period time, that is from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., and try to fast with from the 8 p.m. that night to the coming day 12 p.m. So this is usually very popular for the beginners because of its flexibility time, because in the daytime from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. you could eat whatever you want to eat, and you could fast for the remaining 16 hours of your time. So it will be popular, it is most commonly used by the beginners because of the time flexibility. So this is the one method of intermittent fasting, that is 16 and 8 method. So coming to the second method is, it is like 5 is to 2 method. 5 here, 5 denotes the 5 days. Here 16 means 16 hours, here means 5 means 5 days, and here 2 means 2 days. So you could eat normally for the 5 days of in a week. So in a week we have 7 days. So you could eat normally for the 5 days in a week, and you can restrict your calories to about 500 to 600 on the next 2 consecutive days. So totally we have 7 days. You could eat normally for the 5 days whatever you want to eat. You could eat in those 5 days, like Monday to Friday. If you want to select like 5 days, Monday to Friday you could eat what you want to eat. But on Saturday and Sunday you try to restrict your calories, that is around 500 to 600 calories. You're trying to restrict your calories about 500 to 200 500 to, sorry, 600 on the remaining two consecutive days. So this is the second method. The first method is 16/8 method. Second method will be 5:2 method. 5 means 5 days, 2 means 2 days. So coming to the next method, there are another method, that is eat, stop and eat method. Means here you can eat whenever you want to eat, and you can also stop eating. That is normally it's like fasting for 24 hours. It involves like 24-hour fasting once in a week or twice in a week also. That is, you could skip one day meal. That is, you could do fasting for one day either once in a week, or you could do like twice in a week also. So this is what the another common method of doing intermittent fasting, eat, stop, eat method. And the fourth one is alternate day fasting, ADF. That's called alternate day fasting. Means you're doing fasting on the alternate days. You're eating today and you're doing fasting tomorrow. Again, you're eating the next day and you're doing the fasting tomorrow, the next day. So this is what the alternate day of fasting. Alternate between fasting days, eating very few calories, and regular eating days. So means you could do like alternative fasting. The alternative fasting can also be done by taking a few calories on fasting day and eating regularly on the remaining days. Like on Monday you're eating normally, and on Tuesday you're restricting your calories. You means you're eating very few calories. On again Wednesday you're eating normally. On Thursday you're trying to restrict your calories. This is what the alternative fasting method means. And coming to the next method is warrior diet. Warrior diet means you are fasting for the 20 hours daily and eat one large meal within the next 4 hours of window. Often it's warrior diet means actually you're doing fasting for the 20 hours of your daily and eating one large meal in the night. And you can also do in the warrior method, there is in the warrior diet there is also one more method. Like in the 20 hours of your fasting time, you could eat like fruits, vegetables, raw vegetables you could do. And you could eat these kind of very little calorie diet, and you could have a one large meal in the night time, that is within a 4 hours of your window. So this is what the warrior diet is. So these are the common methods of doing intermittent fasting. So the first method is 16/8 method, 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating window. And next is 5:2 method, that is 5 days of normal eating and 2 days of fasting. Means restrict, it's not complete fasting, it's just like restricting your calories like 500 to 600 kilocalories on the remaining 2 days. And the third method is eat, stop, eat method. Eat, stop, eat method means you're eating regularly for the you're eating regularly on days, and you're just fasting on one day in a week or twice in a week. That's called eat, stop, eat method. Or you can do alternate fasting method. Alternate fasting means you are just eating regularly on normal days, and on fasting day you're trying to restrict your calories. Alternate day you're doing fasting means restricting your calories. And the last method is warrior rate. In the warrior rate you could have a 20 hours of fasting and having a one large meal within the 4 hours of window time. So this is what the warrior rate. And what are the, now we'll dive into the what are the benefits. So many people are doing intermittent fasting. Many people are saying that intermittent fasting is good for your body, intermittent fasting is good for your health, intermittent fasting gives you that, this. So this is what happening, this is what the trend is going on. So let us mainly focus on what are the potential benefits that you're going to get if you do intermittent fasting. So the main thing which is actually attracting people to do intermittent fasting is weight loss. Many people, now the most important burden of our world is obesity. Many people are obese, many people are gaining weight much lot. So many people are actually focusing on weight loss and trying to reduce their fat. So this is the single most important point which have gained attraction of the intermittent fasting by the people. So these weight loss and fat reduction can be seen with intermittent fasting. By reducing your calorie, it also reduces the calorie intake naturally. So which actually you're taking taking very less number of calories now on fasting days, which actually promotes you to have your fat burning by lowering the insulin levels and also increasing the norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is an hormone which is released by your body, which is a fat burning hormone. So by doing intermittent fasting, there is a low amount of calories you are taking. So less amount of calories means less amount of glucose. When there is a less amount of glucose, there is also less amount of insulin also. As a result of less amount of insulin, and as a result there is a more amount of the stored energy will be used, that is the fat will be used. And there is also norepinephrine will be released. This is a fat burning hormone. As a result of all these things, you're mainly, by doing intermittent fasting, you're going to have your weight loss and also your fat has been reducing. So many people are literally interested in this weight loss and fat reduction, so they are trying intermittent fasting. This is the main the first most important potential benefit. And what are the other benefits? It also improves the insulin sensitivity, because many people are nowadays they are diabetic. The type 2 diabetic is mainly due to insulin resistance. Means insulin is not only produced by their body, but the cells are resistant to take the insulin inside the body. So because of these insulin resistant, most of the people are turning into type 2 diabetic. So by doing intermittent fasting, fasting can reduce your blood sugar levels and it also try to reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes mainly occurs due to insulin resistance. So the first potential benefit is weight loss and fat reduction, and the second benefit is improving your insulin sensitivity. And the other one is it also has enhanced the brain health also, because by doing fasting it actually causes BDNF release, which is brain derived neurotropic factor, which also supports the neuronal health. It also, this BDNF, that is brain derived neurotropic factor, also helps in this neuronal growth. It also has a chance of reducing the risk. It is not completely by doing intermittent fasting you cannot prevent by getting Alzheimer's, but it potentially reduces the risk of some neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is most commonly seen in an is in an elderly people. So by doing this intermittent fasting, you could able to reduce the potential risk of getting these neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's. This is one of the potential benefit of doing this intermittent fasting. And it can also have cellular repair and autophagy. So fasting triggers autophagy or autophagy, whatever in whichever way you want to pronounce it. Actually, this autophagy means it mainly tries to remove our own wastes from our cells. It also tries to remove the damaged cells and also helps to regenerate the new ones. So by doing fasting, it usually triggers the autophagy. Autophagy means the body trying to remove the damaged cells or the old cells or the cells which are not at all used for your body, not at all of any sort of use for your body. They are trying to remove these damaged cells and regenerating the new ones. This is what the autophagy means. So these, by doing intermittent fasting, you could also enhance your autophagy method. You could also enhance the new generation of new cells in your body. So this is one of the benefit of the doing intermittent fasting. And what are the other important benefits of doing intermittent fasting is it also it is also good for your heart. So it also mainly lowers your blood pressure. It also reduces your blood pressure. So by lowering blood pressure, it can also potentially reduce the risk of getting hypertension, and it can also reduce the cholesterol levels. By reducing cholesterol levels, it can also reduce the atherosclerosis and stroke. Heart stroke can also be reduced. So, and also reduces the inflammatory markers, the level of inflammatory markers, and reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases. So by doing intermittent fasting, there are a lot more benefits like reduction of blood pressure, cholesterol levels, inflammation markers. These are all by reducing all these risk factors, you could also potentially reduce the risk of you getting a cardiovascular disease. So this is how this intermittent fasting also has an impact on your health of your heart, and it also helps in longevity. So some studies on animals have shown that by doing the intermittent fasting, you could potentially like extend your lifespan by improving your these metabolic health and by reducing the oxidative stress on your body. So by reducing oxidative stress by doing these intermittent fasting, you could also like extend your lifespan. And however, how much is this applicable to humans is again a debatable issue. So this study have been done in animals. In animals, it has shown that it potentially could extend some lifespan. So however, I'm not concluding that this can be seen in human beings also. This study done in animals regarding the longevity. So let's discuss again the potential. What are the potential benefits of doing intermittent fasting? So the potential benefits of doing intermittent fasting is again. So for initially, the first one is weight loss and fat reduction. Second one is improving your insulin sensitivity, so that reduce the risk of getting type 2 diabetic, and it also enhances your brain health. So by enhancing your brain health, it can also reduce the risk of neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's disease, and it also improves your cellular health, cellular repair and autophagy, and it is also good for your heart, that is improving your heart health and longevity. And finally, I'm also here want to discuss about the risks that you should consider while doing intermittent fasting, because intermittent fasting is not commonly done by everyone, and it is not good by without seeking medical advice. If you are doing intermittent fasting, sometimes it may harm your body. So it's better always to have a medical advice before want to consider intermittent fasting for your body. So initially, when you are starting intermittent fasting, because most of the people are not aware or never have done fasting in their life. So if you start intermittent fasting suddenly, initially there is an hunger is very common in the initial stages. So hunger will be the very common in the initial stages, which actually ultimately will lead to irritability or fatigue, and you could not able to concentrate on the work which you're doing. So you will be like you'll be more irritable people, you will be more irritable person. So the hunger and fatigue are one of the most common things which you commonly encounter in the initial periods of starting of your intermittent fasting. So these are the things that you should be considering while you want to have while you want to start the intermittent fasting. And there is also some potential nutrient deficiency can also be seen. So there will be nutritional deficiency if you are not taking adequate amount of nutrients, either adequate amount of vitamins, adequate amount of proteins, adequate amount of minerals in your diet. Then you could land up in vitamin deficiencies, you could land up potentially in many mineral deficiency disorders, which may impact your health badly in a long term in a long term life. So you should be very careful while choosing the kind of food which in your food window, that is if you're doing a 16 8 hours fasting, you should be very careful to cover all the required amount of vitamins, minerals, and important uh, dietary balanced diet that should be covered in these 8 hours of window period. So if you're not covering, if you're like choosing your food which are not rich in adequate amount of vitamins, adequate amount of minerals, adequate amount of antioxidants, then you should potentially land up in nutritional deficiencies. This is one of the again risk that you should be that you should consider while starting intermittent fasting. And there are certain people who should not do intermittent fasting. It's better to avoid intermittent fasting if you are any pregnant woman, if you are a pregnant woman, or if you're a breastfeeding woman, because these people are in need of lot amount of calories, because they have to be they should have surplus of calories, because they should feed the baby who is growing inside of a womb, and she should also feed the baby as a lactating mother. So they should better avoid these intermittent fasting. And the underweight person, they already the person whose BMI is very low, that is under 80, under 18 to 22.5 is the normal BMI. If the BMI is less, that is around 19, 20, and 18, they should, it's better not to do intermittent fasting by those people. And if the people having any kind of eating disorders, like any bulimia nervosa, anorexia nervosa, any kind of binge eating disorders, these people have to consider intermittent fasting only after taking medical advice by the medical practitioner. So it's better not to have intermittent fasting by the people who are having certain kind of eating disorders and certain managing conditions, the person who is having diabetes. So also should start intermittent fasting only under medical supervision, because these patients will be having um like fluctuations in the insulin levels and fluctuations in the glucose levels. So if the people are not aware of their glucose levels, and if they start doing intermittent fasting, they may land up in hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia. So these are the common fluctuations which could be seen in diabetic patients. So these patients are better to avoid this intermittent fasting. The pregnant and lactating mothers, the underweight, and the people who are suffering with eating disorders like anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and the other one is the patients who are on diabetic medications should also be very cautious. It's better to avoid intermittent fasting by these individuals. And the fourth complication is there will be a muscle loss, because as you are fasting, so if you are not taking extended means fasting periods, if you're doing fasting very extensively without certain proper nutrition, without certain protein food, it can cause your muscle loss. So your muscle will be lost, your protein will be lost. So if you're not taking adequate amount of protein, if you're not taking proper amount of nutrition, proper amount of protein diet is not included in your eating window, then that may potentially leads to your muscle loss so which could lead to lean your personality, which you could actually in spite of doing benefit to you, it's much more harming by losing your muscle. So you're thinking that I'm losing my fat, but also but unknowingly you're also losing your muscle. So it's better to have a good amount of protein in your eating window. And this is and the fifth complication or fifth risk factor would be sometimes the fasting of in your body sometimes affect your hormone levels. So because of these affecting hormone levels, particularly in women, it can lead to menstrual irregularities like hypomenorrhea, oligomenorrhea could be seen, like menorrhagia can also be seen. These are the common menstrual abnormalities which could be seen in a woman who is fasting, that is who is doing intermittent fasting without any proper medical advice. Sometimes there will be a changing of these hormonal levels like estrogen, progesterone. Hormonal imbalances will be there. FSH, hormonal imbalances will be there, which could potentially lead to these menstrual irregularities. So these are the potential risk factors. So again, we will discuss about the risks. In the risks is initially the hunger and fatigue is one of the most important risks if you are starting the intermittent fasting uh, on day one, and if you have not yet experienced any kind of fasting in your life, you have not done any kind of fasting in your life and you're doing intermittent fasting for the first time, then you may potentially experience this kind of like this kind of complications or this kind of problems, that is hunger and fatigue and potential nutritional deficiency if you're not properly planning your eating window, and the not suitable if you're a pregnant woman, are not recommended for pregnant women, breastfeeding women, underweight person, and any diabetic patients. And there will be potential muscle loss if you're not planning proper amount of protein in your diet, and there will be disruption of your hormones. If you're a woman, you should take very precautions about these disruption of your hormones, because you may put these intermittent fasting can cause disruption of your hormones in your body, can lead to potential menstrual irregularities. So if you have found useful, please like the video and share it with your friends, and please try to subscribe. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.